Hi guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back. Today we're talking about trauma bonds, and I want to frame this in the sort of in like the soul connection kind of way so that because I know a lot of you watching, a lot of my clients feel like there's a soul bond with your avoidant partner or ex-partner. So we're going to talk about that and we're going to get kind of down and dirty. So stay tuned. It'll be a nice quick video. And if you wouldn't mind, just drop a like, share, and subscribe. It greatly helps my channel grow. Also, I've opened up my books for the month of July for one-on-one coaching. So click below to get your free discovery call. All right, so let's talk about falling in love with the potential when you're with a dismissive avoidant partner. We fall in love with the potential of who they could be, or fragments of who they showed us they could be in the beginning. And this can feel really intense, especially for somebody who has anxious tendencies or even fearful avoidant tendencies. The avoidant often comes on really strong in the beginning. I have videos on that. You can check out my dismissive avoidant playlists, but they often come on really strong in the beginning. And so sometimes it feels like love bombing, but it's not actually love bombing. They're not intentionally trying to hook you in and then sink you. That's not what's going on. Rather, it is a place where they feel safe because a deep bond hasn't yet been established. So it's sort of a safe playground for them in the beginning. Also, they think that they found their true partner and true match and soulmate in you. Sadly, this cycle will repeat itself because in the beginning, they get elated. It's an exhilarated feeling for the avoidant and for you likely. And then as time goes on, they start to flaw find and find your faults. A lot of F's in there. I was like tongue tied. And then by the end of the relationship, they're like, oh, they're going to, they drop you, they ghost, they blindside you, and you break up. And then basically like the last part of the cycle for them is them going, I wish I could find somebody. I wish I could find my person. I'm so lonely. Because they're really lonely because they're looking for something that doesn't exist. So the blueprint of a trauma bond, one of the things that you can look out for is the push-pull dynamic. And you see this in just like all the time with an anxious avoidant trap. It confuses pain with passion and instability with intensity, right? And so people are like, oh my God, it's so intense. It's unstable, right? Or like there's so much passion. Well, there's actually pain underneath that. There's wounds underneath that. This is your wound partner, guys, and you're dancing with your wound partner. The traumas are going to rise up. The shadow side, the shadow aspects of yourself and them are going to be full front and center. But when someone hurts you and still you long for their love, it's often because your brain's trying to resolve a wound. However, it's not a wound with that person. It's a core wound from your childhood, likely with mom or dad or a caretaker, whoever that might have been for you, okay? So if you really get serious, those of you who've been married, probably, I don't know, I'm guessing like 40, 50% of my followers, let me know below, did you marry your mom or dad? Because I married my mom. And what's really fascinating about that is I thought I married my dad, but now that I've done all this work, I realize, oh no, you've dated your mom and your dad to some degree, but mostly dated my mom because my mom is the parent that I have the most wounds with. And I married my mother to the nth degree. So it's so clear now, stepping back on the other side of that. It's almost like I can see it now behind a glass door where I'm safe and protected. I'm like, oh, whoa, okay? So let me know below, did you marry your mom or your dad? Your brain's trying to resolve the wound and trying to rewrite the ending. But what's really happening, it's not trying to rewrite the ending of your relationship. I know you think it is. I know you think, no, Sarah, if I could, you don't understand. If I could just get them back. Oh, but I do understand. I'm a feeling fearful avoidant, and I went through a divorce with a dismissive avoidant. I understand wanting a different outcome. But what you're really looking for is a different outcome with the parent that hurt you the most. Think about, like, I want you to just pause. Take a deep breath. Let it out. And let that truth settle into your system. You're seeking a different outcome with the parent that you experienced the most pain with in your childhood. Journal about that. Talk to your therapist about that. Talk to me about that in a session. But really, we have to understand that. And then we have to try to find compassion for that parent. That's how we heal these wounds, guys. Not easy. Definitely not easy. But you want the version of them who shows up right, who's like, I get it. I know what I did wrong. I can't believe I let you go. I cannot believe I let this happen. I want to go the distance. I'm going to do the work. Let's do this. But that's a part of you that's also wounded, that feels like they need that would call that closure. We don't get closure from another person. It's nice when we can have that conversation, right, before we depart the relationship, but we don't always get that. And we think we need that person to show up in a certain way to receive closure, but what we really need is ourselves to show up for ourselves. There's a part of you that's begging to be seen and heard and loved and really honored. It's really not about that person as much as it seems like it is. That fantasy is your inner child, right? That fantasy of them coming back and saying all the right thing. It's your inner child. It's your nervous system. It's your grief speaking, trying to turn chaos into comfort because we don't like to sit with chaos. We like, it's interesting, right? Because we attract chaos. Those of us who had unstable childhoods, which a lot of people have, we attract chaos unconsciously. That's why I do hypnotherapy, because we can get to those unconscious wounds and unconscious parts and we can rewire them and ask the part to do something different, right? Because it's just trying to protect you. But what's really interesting is we attract that chaos, but what we're really seeking is comfort. But we think chaos is comfort. So we have to get an understanding that chaos actually isn't comfort. Let's talk about another point. The body remembers through contrast. This is something that an ex taught me from 10 years ago. And I thought, he's like, how boring life would be without contrast. I'm like, you're right. If we never knew struggle, how could we appreciate when things were really good? If we've never struggled, if things were always just handed to us or given to us. The struggle, the grit, the fire is what shapes us. So when someone is sometimes tender and sometimes terrifying, right? For like, I'm speaking about a lot of times, this is how anxious anxious attachment can form, like intermittent reinforcement. But when there's terror, then we want to speak to the fearful avoidant part that starts to form, right? Because oftentimes there's some sort of trauma when fearful avoidance forms. So it's like, we don't know if we can expect warmth or coldness and distance or even trauma. So the tenderness will get sort of like emphasized in your memory over the terror, the tenderness, and will remember, and your brain will replay those things. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Let me know in the comments below, because I know the rumination. Every single client I've ever talked to has said the rumination. Every single client, the hundreds, maybe thousands of clients at this point. Rumination, endless cycles of just pain and mental anguish and not having answers that we feel like we need. But the reason why we amplify the good stuff is because it was so rare. It's because it was so rare. So we cling to it. Like water in a desert, right? We cling to what we only got once in a while because your inner child's trying to hold on for dear life. So you miss them not necessarily because they were good for you, but because the good moments were scarce and the heart had to make them stretch. It had to make them last, right? Think about that for a second. There's scarcity. There's a scarcity wound here. You likely didn't get closure. You got more confusion. And like, that's the thing I want to talk about. That's what I said in the beginning. We don't get closure, guys. We get confusion, okay? They didn't know how to hold space for us because they don't know how to hold space for themselves. They don't know how to hold space for you with care and concern and attunement. They were never emotionally attuned to as children, so they don't know how to offer that to somebody else. This is real. This is like the neurobiology of avoidance. They left you with probably whiplash, like emotional and mental whiplash. and wounds that you now have to heal by yourself, right? Answers that will never come, loose ends, right? It's like tying up loose ends because a lot of you were ghosted or blindsided. So your mind just thinks, if he had just asked me to come back, right? Or if this had been different, we go to those fantasies, then everything would be okay. Then maybe I could prove that I wasn't too much or too needy. But the truth is, guys, a lot of you weren't too much or too needy. Maybe you have some anxious tendencies, but a lot of you have a good grip on those things. And what if it's not that you were too much or too needy? What if it's just that their attachment system couldn't handle the closeness? You know? So let's talk about this for a second. Because you loved deeply, you hurt deeply, right? You love deeply, so you hurt deeply. And when we fall in love with the potential of who that person showed us they could be in the beginning, we get little crumbs of it sprinkled throughout the rest of the relationship. Then you don't just shut off love. This is why oftentimes I'll tell my anxious clients, don't just shut off, don't just shut the door, do it gradually, because your nervous system needs to gradually untether itself. It's kind of like a drug. Like, you wouldn't just go cold turkey off of a drug. Oftentimes you have to wean yourself off of it. Or you could have some really serious side effects and consequences. And that anxiety could just, go to like a 12 out of 10. So you need to be very mindful of that. And you're catching up emotionally to what you already know intellectually, right? We can overanalyze and we can understand on an intellectual level. I'm highly analytical and intellectual. It takes time emotionally for me to catch up. So a lot of you might be trying to overanalyze it and figure it out in your mind. And we can't figure this stuff out. We have to go into the wound. We have to go into the body. We have to feel. What's the felt sense, right? Where you feel it. What does it look like? I'll ask clients, what is the color of that wound? What does it sound like? That's how we can shift stuff, by feeling, not by thinking. We can't think our way out of this, guys. These are inner childhood wounds that are playing out. And love isn't enough if the relationship isn't safe. I mean, we can try to convince ourselves that it is, but truly it's not. If the relationship is unsafe, love simply won't be enough. Like, do you agree or disagree? And those are like the Hollywood movies, right? Oh, love, love, love. There's compatibility, there's morals and values, ethics, there's routine. Like, there's so much more that goes into it. Personality, ego, wounding, attachments. There's so much more that goes into it than just, did I love that person? It's not usually love that ends or lack of love that ends a relationship. It's lack of the people being able to meet in the middle. Lack of the ability for the people to truly feel seen, heard, and understood. That's what's really going on. Or maybe one partner is willing to step up and do the work, and the other partner isn't or just can't. So here's the truth. You can love someone and still walk away, right? You can want them to come back and still understand that they just couldn't stay. And guys, again, if you're new to my channel, you won't know this, but you'll know this now. And those of you who are, longtime followers, you know this. I will not villainize the avoidant. Yes, everybody is responsible for doing the work and not hurting other people. When we have blind spots, when we're blind, like, our own blindness is leading us. We don't know that we're avoidant. We don't know that we're anxious. We don't know that we're the common denominator in all of our relationships, because we're outsourcing our pain and we're pointing the finger and we're flexing and we're like, you did this and you did that and I'm the victim. And I've been in victim mindset. I still go into victim mindset sometimes. I'm human. But can you catch yourself in the victim mindset and pull yourself out of it? Can you ask fear, is this real? Are you real? Or is this just a figment of my imagination that's going to keep me even more stuck? Get really real with yourself and ask the questions, because our emotions are there as guides. They're not there. They're not a life sentence. We're not supposed to stay in sadness or stay in anger. We can feel it, express it, really allow that energy to move through you and release it. And then you're going to experience it again and again. It's like the poem by Rumi, every day a new arrival, a sadness and anger. We're going to feel all of the things, and we're going to have to let them circulate through us and release out of us. Otherwise, we hold on to them, and then it turns into something like disease, right? Or illness. Same thing, same, right? It turns into a headache or a migraine. It turns into gut problems. It turns into brain fog. It turns into things that are not conducive to us living our best life, moving forward, and really creating the life that we've said we always wanted. So let me know if this resonates for you. I'm really working on creating more healing content. I will still make videos on, sorry, my voice is a little dry. Let me get a drink of water. I will still be making videos on the education of attachment theory and, why dismissive avoidants do what they do, because I think there is a stage in the healing process where we have to go down that rabbit hole to understand. I know I did. I did. And so I want to make sure that you get that full understanding of what's going on. And then we want to move out of it. And a lot of you are in that next chapter, in that next evolution of self, and you're wanting the healing content. So let's go there together. Take good care, guys. I look forward to seeing all you guys on the next video. And I also look forward to working with you one-on-one. Remember to click the link below to book your free discovery call, and stay tuned because I do have some courses coming out this summer. Very, very excited to help you find love again and really, really just be a magnet to the things that you desire. Be a magnet to not just love, but we can expand this out into other areas of our life. It's what I'm really passionate about, is opening people up to the life that they truly want to live. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys soon.